You want to talk about personal responsibility? Let's talk about personal responsibility. You make the decisions. I suffer the consequences. And you have the nerve, the audacity to tell me to pull myself up by bootstraps. You cut off. You take 40% before I see the check. Put your hand in my pocket, get your foot off my neck. Tell me I'm a citizen, tell me I am free, then follow me from birth to death, extracting everything. You regulate my business, regulate my body, regulate the substance, regulate my hobby. Tell me what to eat and tell me what to smoke. Tell me I'm too stupid to be trusted with a vote that actually matters. Yeah, you'll give me the ballot, but the choices are pre-screened. You already had it mapped out, locked down. Before I hit the booth, democracy is theater and you own the whole production crew.
Master State, get your foot off my neck. Master State, I didn't ask. Master State, get your foot off my neck. You take it, never give back. Get your foot off, Father. Master State, not my God. Get your foot off my neck. You are a monopoly on violence, dressed up in a facade.
Hi, everybody. So I wasn't sure if I was actually going to cover this topic. I did schedule it, but I didn't think people were interested. I had several people ask me to go ahead and do it, so we'll see how this goes. Trump is screwing up the economy bigly. And of course, the indicators are incorrect because on the surface, you will see that the stock market has record highs. The GBT has expanded. Corporate profits are increasing. Yet, a majority of Americans are actually doing worse. Now, they will lie about jobs being created, opportunities. We do have a K-shaped economy in which the corporations, the investors, the asset holders, they do well, but the everyday workers, no, they're falling behind. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're being laid off. And I think this is structural. This is the way the economy is designed. Donald Trump did not create this problem. I believe that this is institutional. This master state extracts. The working people absorb the cost of systemic failure. And if you want to go back to 2008 with the financial collapse, and then all of these big corporations were bailed out. So technically you could blame Obama, but I would say that it probably goes even further back than that. Working families have to pay for wage stagnation, healthcare inflation, housing inflation, educational inflation. Now, I'm not a statist, by the way. I'm not necessarily saying that we should have all these social programs. I'm not necessarily even in favor of increasing the minimum wage. But if we had autonomy to where we could actually live in a free market and be left alone, and we didn't actually have to suffer the consequences of the state, then I would say the state has no responsibility. The problem is that the state is directly responsible for the economic downturn. The master state has engaged in really bad policies, which has screwed over everyday Americans. No, Trump did not cause it. I would say that he probably mishandled it. I would say that he probably exacerbated it. The bottom line is the economy was going to tank anyway. This happens. There's an ebb and flow, right? The question is, who are you going to bail out? And when the economy does tank, for whatever reason, they never bail out the American people. Now, in February, Trump decided to engage in military operations in Iran, and this caused energy prices to surge. Gas prices rose to a national average of $4.5 per gallon, and diesel was 5.6 per gallon. I know that it's probably higher in some of these larger areas. I know I've heard of them going as high as $6 a gallon. But with that came higher grocery prices, higher transportation costs for small businesses, delayed medical care. This has had a ripple effect throughout the entire economy. And then, when asked whether Trump was thinking about how the Iran conflict negatively impacted American people, he responded by saying, not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran is that they can't have a nuclear weapon. He's had an opportunity to retract that statement, but instead he chose to double down. When Reuters asked whether he thought gas prices was a serious concern, he said, if they rise, they rise. And then, when asked again, when responding to polls, he said peanuts, basically saying that the gas prices that we're complaining about are peanuts. Of course, they're peanuts to him because he's a billionaire. And then he said, I appreciate everybody putting up with it for a little longer, but I don't even think about it. Of course you don't think about it. And then most recently he said, I love the inflation. And I know they're trying to walk this back. They're trying to do damage control to say that he has this under control. That's not what he meant. It's like his team is doing damage control for him. He never actually retracts anything. He always doubles down. So he told reporters that he could end the campaign against Iran within 2 to 3 weeks. That same day, the Dow surged over 1,000 points and NASDAQ jumped 3.4 points. His approval rating on inflation was at 24%. He then agreed to a ceasefire less than 2 hours before a self-imposed deadline he had set. And then, what is today? Just yesterday, he signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran at the G7 summit. As a result, the market rose substantially. The S&P rose 1.9%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at a record high. The NASDAQ jumped 3.1%. Oil prices fell more than 4% as investors priced in the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I don't know if y'all listened to that speech that he gave, but he said that the alternative would have been a worldwide depression. He also invoked Herbert Hoover, who presided over the Great Depression. Now, this is the same person who said he was not concerned, not even a little bit. Did y'all see the duplicity? And we still don't even know why he started this conflict with Iran in the first place. He didn't get congressional approval. For those of you who don't like when I talk about the law because you think it's boring, yes, it's in the Constitution. Only Congress can declare war. They did create some statutory authority, which I don't even think is constitutional, which says that the president has authority to engage in preemptive strikes. But we've had endless wars, and most of these wars, almost none of them. I can't remember the last one that was actually declared by Congress. So all of these wars are completely unconstitutional. So it's almost like God creating humanity and then realizing he made a mistake, and then he wants to fix the mistake by flooding the entire planet. But no, he had to save Noah, and now we're going to do the same thing all over again. These people want to play God. They want to make decisions that negatively impact everyone else, and then they don't take any accountability whatsoever. Now, his approval rating has increased exponentially since rolling back the conflict. So I don't know. Again, I didn't necessarily want to do this because I didn't know how much I actually had to say. But I guess I'll read the comments, and then maybe, since there were several people who wanted me to do this live stream, maybe there'll be people who actually would want to come up. Now, Trump was on social media bragging about the U.S. trade deficit, which has widened, and it's the biggest increase in nearly 34 years. We have a trade deficit of 55.9 billion. Now, I want y'all to know that he ran on all these campaign promises. He was supposed to fix the economy. He was supposed to bring back American jobs. These tariffs were supposed to benefit the American people. He ran on a campaign promise that he was not going to start any new wars. Yet we get the opposite. The Supreme Court has already ruled that Trump had no constitutional authority to impose those tariffs in the first place. Now, I said this before. When I said it, people just blew me off. I don't know what I'm talking about. Allegedly, I failed the bar exam, so I don't know shit. Never mind the fact that I have a Juris Doctorate and I actually studied the law for 3 years, and that I actually do my own independent research. No, because I don't have a license from the damn state, I don't know shit. Why is it that every time I make predictions about the law, about how the Supreme Court is going to rule on a given issue, why is it that I'm always right? It's not even like I'm mostly right. I'm like almost, like, I would say, if you were to ask my predictions on any legal issue before the Supreme Court, I'm like, I have like a 90 point, like, I would probably say a 98% accuracy. And it's not just I'm telling you about the outcome. I'll tell you exactly why they're going to rule that way. I did predict that the Supreme Court was going to roll back all of these COVID mandates. I knew that. I said it when I did it. That video got very few views. People blew me off. I knew that this was going to lead to a constitutional crisis and that they had no choice but to declare it unconstitutional. They had no authority to force people to get vaccinated in the first place. These were based on executive orders by state governors. Employers never had any authority to question whether you were vaccinated. Once you research the law, not that they necessarily follow it all the time, but there's some things that are just unavoidable. And I knew it was just a matter of time before they declared his tariffs unconstitutional. Never mind the fact that he's already destroyed small businesses, because this did not necessarily hurt big businesses. They could absorb the costs. They can stagger it through their financial quarters. They have investors. They can wait it out. The small businesses, or the people who wanted to start a business, such as myself, got screwed. The gig economy has taken a hit. Those who engage in rideshare work, many of them have been put out of work just because of gas prices. But the cost of driving exceeded the revenue. Now, I know you can get tips, but in this economy, I doubt that people are tipping. I know that when people needed Uber and what's the other one, Lyft, the wait times had increased because people just stopped driving. It just was not profitable. I know that gas prices are coming down, but they're not coming down to what they were before he started this war. And even if they do come down to what they were, that still does not justify it. The fact that so many people have been brought nearly to economic ruin. Remember, these people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're already struggling. And I know people don't give a shit because people don't have any empathy for the American people, or maybe even the human species in general. Now, the duty only goes one way. We're supposed to have a social contract where you obey like a slave, you forfeit your rights. The government wants to treat you like a child. You can't think for yourself. You can't make any decisions. You're so fucking incompetent. If you make any mistake, they want to hold you accountable. You go over the speed limit, they want to take your damn money. You allegedly failed the bar exam by 10 points, and then your whole life is screwed over. You got to pay thousands of dollars to study and retake it, and then your circumstances have changed drastically to where now it's untenable. They don't have any mercy for you, though, right? But you're supposed to have all this fucking empathy and all this fucking patience. Give them the benefit of a doubt. When do they ever give you the benefit of the doubt? Now, remember, this is the same administration that sought to take away women's access to abortion. They want you to use your womb as an incubator for the state. They want you to produce more slaves. They're talking about declining birth rates. And for whatever reason, there's many people who internalize this to think that the state's problem is their problem. They think there's some type of coverture between you and the state, that you're one. The state doesn't give a fuck about you. You want to sacrifice children to the state so you can get a pat on the head, and the state does not give a fuck about you. You go out and produce all these damn children like these women on TikTok have done, and then they're sitting on TikTok complaining about how the state cut their SNAP benefits and they can't feed their damn children. Whose fault is that? Who was foolish enough to trust the damn state? Who was foolish enough to believe that they actually had a duty to the state to produce slaves? Who was foolish enough to throw their children into the lion's den and then wing it and hope for the best? So they take away your abortion rights. Now it's every man for himself. You figure out how you're going to feed your damn children. The state is going to get its cut before you get yours. And there's other ways to protest. There's other ways to resist. But a procreational boycott is the easiest and most effective thing you can possibly do. It does not even require any real sacrifice because we're all born child free. You're not being deprived of anything. And you have no right to a human slave. You just don't. The fact that you have a desire to procreate does not entitle you to a human being to force them to exist against their will, to be enslaved to the state. So if you want that, I don't support that, but fine. Can you at least give them a decent quality of life? Can you at least make sure that they're fed? Can you at least make sure that they have jobs waiting for them, that they have a future? Not just, I want the benefit of raising children, so they turn 18. It's every man for himself. I'm going to kick them out as soon as they turn 18, as if I didn't choose to be a parent, as if creating a child is a responsibility that only runs until the age of 18. As if you did not create a full human being who actually has to navigate through life, primarily as an adult. That as if you're not responsible, as if you did not set that entire chain of events in motion because you chose not to use contraception. Oh, you're grown. That's what they say. You're grown. Did we choose to be grown? Did we choose to be subjected to this oppressive state? No, that's the choice that you made. And you didn't have the foresight to actually plan accordingly to see that the state did not give a fuck about you. You're just going to wing it. You just want to have this ad hoc approach, figure out as you go along. And now your grown children are the ones who have to pay the damn consequences for a choice that you made. Now they're stuck in this shitty economy where they can't even survive. And then we have all these parents complaining about their children coming back to live with them. What the fuck did you expect? You created these children. You didn't have a plan. You did not create a family trait. You left them to fend for themselves. So it's a failure to launch. It's a failure to launch. If your children cannot be self-sufficient, then you did something wrong as a parent. It just is what it is. You can blame society. You can blame the church. You can blame television. At the end of the day, you are the one who created the child. The state did not. Tell Live Vision did not do it. You did it. The parent-child relationship is a special relationship, unlike any other relationship. You basically have a godlike role where you actually create someone out of nothing. I don't understand how you have this godlike authority, but you act like you're not responsible for anything. How does that work? How do you get to be a god, but you're so helpless? How do you get to be a god and a slave at the same time? because they don't have all the answers. And the live stream that I wanted to do, which I thought would have been more interesting, was the live stream about parents and their narcissistic abuse and how it actually has long-term effects. I guess I'll get to that, but I really didn't get anybody asking me about that topic. I got more interest in this topic. Right. So Trump's big, beautiful bill cut SNAP benefits by 187 billion. And we know there was a government shutdown. And during the shutdown, these people literally could not feed their children. They're literally going to the food banks, begging them. And the only reason that they were in that precarious predicament in the first place, it wasn't because they had one child or even two children. They procreated well above the replacement rate. A lot of these people had like 5 children. Okay, I can help you if you have one child, but you got 5 damn kids. Who's supposed to feed all them damn kids? You got a fucking tribe living in your house. Who's going to take on that responsibility? And you don't have a plan? If your SNAP benefits get cut by 1 month, you're literally going to starve. They were literally crying on TikTok. These mothers and the fathers were completely absent. They were crying about how they had to skip meals in order for their children to eat. Completely self-imposed, because you could have eaten if you didn't have 5 damn children, but you chose to do that. And it's just so funny. I didn't want to make this a rant against them. But when I would look at them, when they would go grocery shopping, like, you don't know how to make a dollar stretch. You don't know how to get Whole Foods and just make it from scratch. Or I don't, why does everything have to be so prepackaged? You don't know how to just get some potatoes and make meals out of that. You know, potatoes can stretch. No, you got to go and get some $6 potatoes, Lay's potatoes. Not only do they get potato chips, they have to get the name brand potato chips. All this junk, all this cookie, pies, and ice cream. You can't make that shit yourself. And you think somebody's supposed to feel sorry for you? I've had hard times myself. I could take $100 and eat good for a month and probably have more than enough left over. But then again, I'm a single person. I know how to manage money. These people are children. They can't do shit on themselves. They're so fucking incompetent. And they need the government to fucking come and save them. Now, I recognize that the government is bailing out corporations, so maybe the government should be bailing people out. But at the same time, stop being so fucking dependent. Get off the government's tits. You want your children to respect you, to respect your authority. Why should they respect your authority? You're the state's bitch. You're the state's child. You don't want to be an adult. So I just think that if you're not, let me stop before I sit up here and disparage people who are on public assistance. The bottom line is that you're not the parent. You're not, and I'm going to put this more. I'm going to put some more so on the father, because we do live in a patriarchy. How are you having children? How are you impregnating women that you can't provide for, you can't protect, you don't like? What good are you? You're leaving these women to go on TikTok to beg for money? And these men said that they want equal say in whether women can get an abortion. It's my child too. It's 50% of my DNA. Okay. Then why are you complaining about child support? Why are you complaining about taking care of these are your kids, right? No way in hell I would ever impregnate a woman and leave them to fend for themselves. No way in hell. So there is no safety net. It's one way unilateral extraction. You have all these duties to the state has no duty to you. And for some odd reason, there's such a visceral reaction against anarchy. You're so loyal to the fucking state, which has no loyalty to you. Now, what I wanted to say is the human species. Well, let me be more specific. The civilized man is the only animal on a planet that has to pay just to exist. I'm gonna let y'all sit on that for a minute because I'm emphasizing civilized. Because people are saying, "Why am I focusing on civilization? Why am I not saying procreation in general?" Well, if you live in a state of nature, you don't have to pay to exist. You're basically in the same situation as an animal where you just hunt and forage. There is no master extracting from you. But the civilized man is the only animal on the planet that has to pay just to exist. So when you procreate in civilization, you are creating unnatural burdens and unnatural duties. They're going to have to be a wage slave. They're going to have to use this fake paper money. So it is not the same. It is not the same to procreate in a state of nature as it is to procreate under the state of society. Now keep in mind that the fruits of your labor as a wage slave are going to maintain this state, this master state. The state is the only master on the planet that has no duty to protect or provide for his slaves. Even under chattel slavery, the slave masters had to provide food, clothing, and shelter to their slaves. This is stated explicitly in the slave codes. Yet we have all these people. Well, I'm not going to say all these people. Who don't seem to have a problem with being a slave to the state, even though they don't get anything out of it. What do you get out this shit? They don't even want to have ownership over their own lives. I don't get it. I don't get it. Not only are they okay with it, they're perfectly okay with throwing their own children into the lion's den, into the fucking matrix. Because, like I said before, they want to struggle. They think there's something noble about struggling. If they can get through it, if they can make it through another day, somehow that builds character. What is the point of this shit? We're all going to end up 10 feet under, or what is it, 6 feet under? And you have nothing to show for it. The only entity that benefits from it is not you, it's the damn state. The state benefits, the state gets continuity. They don't have to work. They work, or they benefit from exploiting you. All these parasites. And I know some of you are not familiar with socialism or anarchy or different economic theories. Yes, they may work. It's not productive labor. They don't produce anything. The lawyers, the bureaucrats, President Trump, despite the fact that I guess he's decided to give up his salary, so he doesn't receive a salary, he donates it or whatever he does with it. He can afford to do that. He's a billionaire. Not that there's anything noble about being a billionaire either. How many people did he have to fuck over to become a billionaire? We've already known that Social Security was a Ponzi scheme that's about to become insolvent. I'm not sure what's wrong with people, but for whatever reason, they have this pie in the sky worldview. The writing is on the wall. You can warn people about what is coming, and they don't want to see it. They think that you're being too negative. But then when it actually slaps them in the damn face, then they want to panic and act as if this is the first time they heard it, as if nobody knew that this shit was going to happen. There's things that I could say that I see coming down the pipeline. I mean, I don't have any evidence. Let me correct myself. I don't have any proof. There is no smoking gun, but all the evidence is pointing in a certain direction. And at some point, the US dollar is going to collapse. It's completely unsustainable. If you understand how the economy works, this is inevitable. And once the US economy collapses, it's going to be a domino effect because we don't produce shit, because we do have a service oriented economy that extracts from the global south. How are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to pay your bills? Yes, you may make a lot of money based on your rent seeking, based on your occupational license, which gives you an artificial scarcity. That is not sustainable. The only reason that your license has any value is because the state has a monopoly on force. You take away that force, you take away the value of the US dollar, and you're actually worse off because you don't actually have any skills. You don't have any life skills. That paperwork bullshit, and I do it. Believe me, I do a lot. In fact, I was doing some paperwork before I got on this live stream. I'm not going to be specific, but I have skills. There's things that I can do, and I don't make a living off that. So the shit that I do, no. I don't. I have white collar skills, but I can also do blue collar work. Also, I'm not a one trick pony. And it's both parties, by the way. This is not me critiquing Republicans or Democrats. Both of them are the fucking problem. It's the state, it's the fucking institution. So I know there's some people who are probably thinking, oh, this never would have happened if we put Kamala in office. Maybe it wouldn't have been exactly the same. I don't know. Maybe her presentation would have been better. But at the end of the day, they run America like a damn corporation. And Trump just happened to be the best man for the job. Trump is the person who can actually manage the downfall of the economy, the tanking of the economy, because he's so fucking callous. Because he is such an unscrupulous businessman. That's why they selected him for that position. And of course, they did have manufacturer consent where they convinced you that you actually had a choice, that Trump is a product of the will of the American people. You can believe that if you want. So yes, you give up so much to the state. You give up your taxes, your obedience, your labor. You will die in war. And some of these people, I'm a veteran myself, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do something, don't do it for the country. Do it because your family might benefit. You have a family, you have a good life insurance policy. Maybe it is justifiable because maybe in some cases you're worth more dead than alive. Fine, take that risk. Maybe your family could benefit from it. But this whole shit about being so sentimental about America, about the American flag, fuck that shit. Fuck it. And I'm saying this as someone who used to be extremely patriotic, but now I understand this shit. This is a whole okie doke. This is no different from you rooting for your home team, your home football team versus the other football team. You don't get to share in the fruits of the. I don't know. I know some people may believe that they do. Maybe you believe that you benefit from being an American. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think these people have any loyalty to anybody. I don't think they have any loyalty to veterans. I don't think they have any loyalty to their voters. I think it's every man for himself. Yes, the asymmetry is real. They extract from you, you get nothing in return. How is this a social contract? What are you getting out this bullshit? Why aren't you an anarchist? Why do you still support the state? Why do you still support your master? The only basis of the state, the state's, well, the state doesn't have legitimate authority, it has power. And that power is based on its monopoly on physical force. It's not a social contract. There is no consent. It does not serve the general will, the common good, the public. None of that shit. Now, you may not care about the exploitation, the extraction until you get caught up in the system. I don't know why it takes for people to actually go through it through themselves for them to finally wake up. Nobody ever told me these things. I had to learn it myself. And it's not even that I woke up just from my own personal experience. I had to read some philosophy, see shit through clear eyes, not through the manipulation that I was indoctrinated with. And now I see things as they are. You're not going to sell me a bill of goods when it comes to the American dream. The American dream has been a fucking nightmare for me and many other people. Usury, predatory lending, wealth inequality, barriers to entry, institutional abandonment, perpetual debt, chronic oppression, chronic harassment from the popo. And yet we're all conditioned to just accept it, to just act as if this is what life is. As if this bullshit is normal. And the people who actually see things for what they are and resist it, we're the fucking crazy ones. We're the ones who need to call 988. Because all these other slaves are okay. They're happy. They're perfectly fine with being slaves. It does not bother them one bit. They don't even think about it. Now the system, I did touch on the robber barons. I could go into greater detail about the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Rothschilds. I don't know, some of it does get a bit conspiratorial. But everything about the American way of life has been orchestrated and engineered. And for whatever reason, people can't see it because they think that this is some inevitable way of life, that this is just the way things are. No. These masterminds put this shit together. And if they can put it together, all you got to do is fucking outsmart them. You can fucking undo it. But most people don't think like that. They just submit to authority. They want to be worker bees. They don't think. And so, in the minds of these social engineers, you deserve it. I want you to know that those people who are making our lives a living hell, they don't have any empathy for us because they do believe that we deserve it. They believe that we're just a bunch of dumb cattle. We're expendable. We are to be sacrificed for the greater good. And that's why they're not going to change it. And that's why when you think that you're going to vote your way out of this, I want you to know that those very same robber barons are the ones who control your politicians like fucking puppets. They are the ones controlling shit behind the scenes. So no, Donald Trump did not create this problem. It started way before him. The problem is institutional, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with the president just because he is the face. He is well, I'm not going to say he's the most powerful person, but administratively, he's responsible for managing it. He did sell y'all a bill of goods. He did make all these false promises. Why? Because he's trying to market the master state to make it more palatable. And that's what he's good at. He's good at branding. You could literally be starving and he's going to gaslight you and say, oh no, you're doing fine. The economy is doing fine. Everybody has jobs. And then you start to question your own reality because Trump said it was the opposite of your lived experience. You believe Trump. All right, y'all. I didn't really plan on doing this live stream, but I had several people ask me to do it, so that's all I got. Since there was some interest in this, I don't know if anybody wants to come up, but I'm going to go through these comments. I don't know if this lived up to your expectations for those who wanted me to cover this topic, but and notice this: the economy gets screwed each time every 4 years for over 200 years, and yet we still continue to fall for this. Oh, this person shall save us nonsense in election time. Right? It's so funny how they always seem to get their shit together right before an election. They'll let you fucking suffer and starve. But right before the election comes, they want to temporarily fix the economy. They want to make shit look pretty. Bring those gas prices down. So let's end this fucking war before the fucking midterms. Because we need to make sure that we remain in power. And of course, the shit works. Yes, it is intentional. They do the shit on purpose. Seriously, do we think this all happened out of nowhere? No, instead, it's been systematically all set up slowly for long periods of time. It was all part of the plan. Exactly. All part of the plan to them. Also, you get to easily think, oh, since a president shall not save us, maybe AI can save us instead. Have them do the lifting and fixing, yet not fix it for you. That part. Y'all think AI is really going to save us? Some of these people are fucking delusional. Excuse me. That's because when it comes to the elites, the higher up, they want it like that because they want to harvest other people's energy and they don't want you to succeed. Right. They completely sabotage people. And what makes it so bad is that it's not just the elites doing it, it's the slaves at the bottom who actually support it. The gatekeepers who go against their own rational self-interest. And even if it doesn't matter how smart you are, they'll find a way to take you down because they don't need you. They don't need you because there's an oversupply of labor. Because all these people keep procreating, everybody's expendable. They can get rid of you and just bring in somebody else. That's how it is. They'll throw you with the rest of the freaking wolves. Exactly. They have to pick you in order to get you on their team. That's true. They don't think either because they allow themselves to oppress themselves and they want others to get oppressed because they don't care. They're not smart enough. And on top of it, they will get themselves in these situations and then they think somebody else is supposed to get them out. Like, I'm so tired of people telling me that I'm supposed to work to save everybody else. Why? This is what the fuck they want. This is their fucking system. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. And they don't want you to outsmart them because how dare you? Well, the problem is that even if you do figure it out, you can outsmart them, but you're still going to be outnumbered by the ignorant masses. So they're going to pull you down. They're going to make sure that you're not able to do anything that might actually benefit society. So this shit is a well-oiled machine. They don't even have to do any work. Can you elaborate on Social Security question? I don't know what you mean by that. I try to address it. Can you elaborate on what your question is? Because I don't know specifically what you're asking. But I'm at the end of the question. So unless anybody comes up, I mean, I'm pretty much done. I don't. Okay, well, I'm not sure what your question is, but I'm about to end this live stream because I don't have anything else to say. Nobody's coming up, so yeah, I probably won't come back to this topic because I had other topics that I wanted to cover. So anyway, you all have a good night, and hopefully I'll be doing another live stream tomorrow or sometime over the weekend.